this segment for Good Food Revolution is called Broad Strokes, painting pictures with the human factors in and of wine culture, and meant to be relaxed engagement. As you can see, I dressed for the part.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see my. I'm not sure if I'm on a safari or on the
You're in
beach.
Provence.
In Provence, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got the beautiful background there of you from the winery. So I
Yeah.
wanted to, we're here talking about Chateau Leoube, the wines of Provence, a region of Provence that is probably the only region in the world dedicated to the production of
Yeah.
rosé, which is pretty historical. I'm not sure people know too much about it unless you're a student, and don't think it's that much talked about in terms of what this region means for France and the wines of the world. And that's something we can get to a few moments into our conversation. Where's the, just to get the energy, because there's something in the color of the rosé. How is that achieved? Naturally, I'm assuming by direct press, but then there's a weight and energy that sort of anchors the palate, and I'm assuming that is perhaps from Cabernet. And I think some people don't realize that within the appellation you can plant Cabernet, part of
Exactly.
the greater zone. And where is the Cabernet planted in relation to the other grapes,
So
varieties?
we use in Provence and at Léoube for the rosé Grenache mainly, Cinsault. So that's the two main grapes.
Right?
And then we play with a bit of Syrah, Mourvèdre, and Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes.
And Léoube is planted. If you look at Google Map, you can't trace it, but it's almost like a theater. So all the vines get the same exposure.
Mm.
So there is not much difference in terms of soil at Léoube. They are more or less all the same soil. The only difference we have at Léoube is when we do have a new plantation, we may plant the new vines lower or higher than it's the plot next to it.
Right.
So we can, and maybe facing south-north rather than east-west.
Mm.
So it's all a little bit of a puzzle at Léoube. And that's the only way we can manage the maturity of the grapes to avoid having all the grapes mature at the same time.
Right.
By playing with a little bit of soil adjustment and orientation,
Okay.
we can control the maturity and able to do a hand harvest rather than machine harvest. And the way we produced our rosé at Léoube, we couldn't use machine anyway because you touch base with it with a direct press on the cluster. We don't desteam.
Mm.
So we do use 20% of Cabernet Sauvignon, which is kind of a high quantity in a rosé in Provence. It does work extremely well. The cab bring that structure to the wines, and you've got because they are older vines, you've got more minerality as well. You've got the salinity, the spiciness coming into this wine, still being very dry, of course. We are below 2 grams per liter of sugar, residual sugar. But as well, the beauty of the Léoube wines, it's we can go through the process of rosé making, but as well, the Secrets de Léoube will go through a malolactic fermentation, which is rare again in Provence and rosé making.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
by doing that malolactic fermentation, we bring extra layers, and it stays on the lees as well, stainless steel, but on the lees for a few extra weeks or months to build up those layers of flavor to create this. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's okay. So there it is, because there's always this mouthfeel, and naturally when you're sitting there as a sommelier and as you're tasting, you're answering questions about the wine, you're talking about the region, laughing, giggling, you're waiting for service to begin, that you don't always tick through the boxes of what you've learned in class. I've just gone back to wine studies and wine class, so there's gaps I'm filling in with experience, knowledge that I've gained. And, it's like, as you mentioned, malolactic and sitting on lees, that kind of gives an idea and sense of why there's this beautiful mouthfeel and weight to these wines, though the color and energy is still lifted, and there's a freshness to the wine. And it kind of like mind meld, and then you're like, oh, the matrix of flavors. You kind of understand it and see it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes into integrated each other. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And Provence, you mentioned, Provence overall, it is the oldest wine region in France. 2,500 years ago, we started to plant vines around Marseille. Even before Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, Provence is the origin of winemaking in France.
Yes, with the Fauchines.
Exactly, yeah. And, we kept the heritage of rosé as well from that time, because when they were making wines back then, they were not controlling on understanding the full maceration to make a red wine. So the red wines were very much paler than they are today. So the red produced in Provence back those days, they were paler than the red of today.
Ah, okay.
And so that's a bit of story. But today, rosé, it's a lifestyle. It's a nightmare to produce. So much harder, so much more complicated to produce a rosé, premium rosé at Léoube than a red and a white. We have actually a dedicated area at the winery just to produce the rosé. And we do the reds elsewhere in the winery. So we have two wineries, so that's quite of unique as well. What's important to know is today in France, we drink more rosé than white wine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it shows you that even the French, realize that it has its own identity. It's not just red or white. Now when you go somewhere in a shop or in a restaurant, what do I want? Red, white, or rosé?
It's the beautiful medium. I mean, not to say that it's medium, as a vessel for enjoyment, but the in between the red and the rosé is this beautiful harmony. I will be drinking some rosé later today with my family. We're going to a barbecue to my mother's home. We don't have Léoube, I apologize, but it will be rosé, and it'll probably be the first time I think many of my family members do, because I'm introducing them to drinking finer wines, or wines that are built with an energy and some thought, because many people are asking and wanting to be better educated on the quality of wine, where to find, how to find, what are the labels. It is like buying records sometimes, what kind of music genre you want to get in and who are the artists. There's a lot of filtering through. So speaking of artists, and as you've got, I know I mentioned, throw this question at you. There's two more questions, points that I want to ask you, whether they're relevant or not, but they're more fun. Bob St. Clair, I was on your website, and everyone, please go to the website. I'm a student of house music, and Bob St. Clair straddles both worlds of electronic music, from the big Ibiza sort of like this kind of sound to working with his label, Yellow Label, with Africanism, where there's more Afro-inspired beats, so he satisfies the house music, this tendance house music, this French house touch, if you will. And Bob St. Clair is 52 or 53 now. Right? Consistently making some really beautiful and fun music that is about joy, and this is what rosé always has signified to me, as a happiness and an energy, nothing too serious in the way whites or reds. The way I love house music, or that music, it is about sort of party to whatever extreme. And it kind of goes hand in hand in a funny way, his style of production and music. So I wanted to ask you, where does that connection? Yeah.
So Léoube is a destination on its own, because we do have as well, like you see behind me, we are on a beach. We have a beautiful beach on the estate, which is open to public. It's called the Pellegrin Beach.
Yes.
And we have an amazing restaurant on that beach, which we manage ourselves, for example, and it's all about proximity of the food, where it comes from. Lots, not all, but majority of the vegetables come from our own market vegetables, so on the estate. The fish, as you can imagine, where they come from, not from Paris, they come from where we are. So it's all about, the sustainability and having a good time. It's a very beautiful restaurant, and it's a real destination now, which is part of, when you speak about Léoube, it's a destination. It's not just this amazing wine. It's this amazing wine, that amazing team, that amazing shop we have, and that restaurant and activities we have around it. And that's the lifestyle. We keep going back to this lifestyle of having a good time. And we decided to entertain the locals and the tourists with Bob Sinclair on the July 31st.
Yes.
So we're expecting 1,500 people. We cannot go over that because of the sanitary situation. And it's going to be a fun evening. We have El Padre, which is a local DJ coming before. So we have 200 seats where people can come and have an amazing dinner before the party starts, or you can come a bit later and just join the music and drinking some rosé, obviously, all night long. So it's going to finish at 3 a.m. and it's going to be an amazing event.
Amazing. So thank you, Jerome. And for those of you who may not be able to get to the property, or maybe in the future, you can go on, and there is a Google tour, right? You can do a virtual tour of part of the winery from the Chateau Leoube website.
Yeah, you've got some nice videos on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Follow me on Instagram. People are jealous on me of my Instagram because all those beach from Barbados showing up with my bottle of Léoube.
And is Barbados the connection? Lastly, I guess there was one more question. Then is Barbados? We've talked about this in the past because my family heritage is from Barbados. And it's been a while since I've been back, naturally, post COVID and even before. So is a connection your personal connection, or is it
work related? Yeah. First of all, it's a big market, and I spent a lot of time in Barbados. I used to, before Léoube, for the owner, to do work in Barbados for them privately, and now it became a big market for us. It's my second home. I know so many Bayesian. I don't say I know everyone, but all the restaurants, I know people there. It's a lifestyle which I really enjoy, Barbados. I know, there is the East Coast, North Point, East, West, and South. I know where to go, where I would say the tourist doesn't know where to go.
It's coast and south.
Exactly. Yeah. Even nighttime, I know those key places to go at night. So to summary and to as a conclusion, I'm very happy at Léoube, but sometimes it's good as well to escape, to leave the compound and go for a Negroni in my local bar or restaurant and having a good time. I'm just happy where I am. Happiness comes from you. It's important to find what makes you happy. For me, the nature, and I'm very lucky to be at Léoube, the nature makes me happy. My job just makes me happy, and my Negroni or my beer, or if I go to the cafe of Léoube, it's part of the work, but it's a great job I have, and not because you are in Toronto yourself, and I'm trying to charm you at all. But I love being in Toronto. It's Barbados and Toronto are my two favorite places in the world after being at Léoube. I've got my best friend, Pierre, if Pierre is going to watch that video, who used to be at the Spoke before. He's my best friend. I've got the energy at Léoube, and when I don't know why, but when I land in Toronto, because I've got that energy as well.
Yes, there's a history and a connection that you can't really put words to. So thank you, Jerome.
Thank you so much. I loved that chat. And like you said, it's great within that whole sadness of what happened in the last 2 years, and doesn't seem to finish as yet. But these video calls make people reconnecting as well.
Yes.
Which, like we said, we didn't see each other for 3 years, and thanks to the video call, now we connected again. So, seeing the positive side of the sadness of what's
Yes,
happening in the world.
and a friend of mine calls it the collateral beauty
Yeah.
of what's happened in the last 2 years. So that is it, I guess. For broad strokes, as we have, painted a much more detailed image of the life and culture at Château Leoube. So again, thank you for your time, and
No, thank
hopefully we
you.
see each other soon, and maybe it's here or there,
Please.
or somewhere in between with a glass of rosé.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye
Ciao.
bye.
Bye.